Hinsichts the end of the year, we're coming to the end of the year, and we're getting ready to say the prayer of Yom Kippur, Kol Nidrei. And one of the things we say in Kol Nidrei is that we are all the same. Everybody here in the synagogue is the same. Are they really the same? They're not the same. And none of them even think so that they are the same. There are people who think we are better Jews than you and you are better Jews than me. But we really are the same. What do we mean we are the same? Because every person has a purpose in life, a reason. Somebody starts off from and has to become from working on his character, working on his behavior, working on his mitzvahs. And somebody starts off not so from, he also has to work on his character. There can be a good person in midas and behavior who is not from. He behaves very nicely to people. For instance, by chasnas. Sometimes somebody makes chasna and you go up to the balbus, he invites, he has no time to talk to you now because now he's occupied with better class people than you. But there are people who have got time for everybody, talk nicely to everybody. It doesn't just have to be a from person. It can be a not from person as well. And sometimes we have to understand that there are people who are from and not well behaved in midas. And there can be not from people who are well behaved in midas. They're two different things completely. But it doesn't mean that they understand that they come down on this world. If you come down, understand that you come down on this world only to be misaking your midas and break yourself and behave in a good way to one another. Ben Odom lechaveiroi. That's what the first thing we have to do on Erev Yom Kippur is ask forgiveness from your friends for things you have done wrong during the year. But what's the use if you don't write them down and you don't make a book about them and you don't keep a record and am I going to change? Have I made a point in it? What's the use? Tomorrow you've forgotten about it. So where is our apologizing to one another? But the point is not that. The point is, for instance, when you get married, a couple get married together, they have to understand that their job in life is to behave to one another good, help one another along in life. Are they ready for that? Are we ready to marry our children at 17? Do they understand what they're doing? Do they understand the values of marriage? Or are they just the bodily functions have brought them to the stage where they can get married and they're able to go along with liking each other because their bodily have developed in that kind of way? But mentally they've still stayed behind. Lots of them at 17 and 18 are still like 12-year-old children and do not understand the values of life and the values of living together with a partner. They don't understand it. They haven't been brought up to it. They haven't seen their parents. The parents haven't brought them up and made them ready. I used to be very friendly with Yankel Fira, and my son used to go to this Belzer Chayde. And one of the biggest things that Yankel Fira was such a clever person in Asmanal is, he said you will prepare Kita Aleph for Kita Beis for Kita Gimel. Kita Gimel for Kita Dalet. Are these parents at home preparing their children to be married? Are the girls being prepared for married life, how to behave to a husband, or just have everything? There's so many of them who talk to each other of rubbish, just what a chasna they're going to have, what courses are going to be given, and what food. They don't understand the value of marriage, and it's more important than food. Believe me, if I was Bakoyach, and people would listen to me, I would say fish and compote by a wedding. No more. Flowers on the table. Everybody should do the same. Everybody should do the same. Because then the value of marriage maybe will be brought up and will be understood what we need to do, what we got to give. But let's get back to Yom Kippur. Now they're getting to Yom Kippur and they're all coming to shul and they're all apologizing to each other. But do they understand what means apologizing, that you forgive him for everything you have done? They don't understand it. The same way as they don't understand married life. They don't understand what they're getting married. And Nebuch, these children are not to see. Don't go to a Rav to discuss about married life. She learns with some Rebbetzin, he learns with some Ruv or some teacher, And that's it. They don't go along to understand, have a family, a married couple who have been married for a long time, who can give them advice, how daily routine, how to behave to one another. We don't do that. And at 17, we let them get married and let them have children. By 20, some of them might have 2 children. They're not ready for it. They haven't had time to get out and live their lives. They haven't had no time. They're not ready to be mummies. They don't know how to look after these little babies. The poor things come along and we get the same pattern going on and on, because we think the whole idea is just to get more and more. Warte, we darf machen, wir sagen Jeden, wir darf noch Jeden auf der Welt. It's a big mitzvah. But what kind of children are you bringing down? Don't you see the social problems, the behavioral problems, how they don't understand how to behave with one another? I've got married women, my wife knows some married women, married people. If she phones them up, sometimes if somebody else is, when she's busy, she can chuck her away. No, I can't talk to you, I'm finished. Just behave in a disgusting manner. So I'm doch kein Mensch gelernt, der Geretz. So these Frauen haven't even got the Geretz for their husband. They don't care whether their husband is in pain and needs to live his life with another partner to understand the things that he's lacking. I remember when I got married, through my mother dying when I was born, there was a motherly love which I lacked. And my wife learned that she's not only a wife to me, but she has to come and replace this motherly love which I'd lost for years. And it took quite a few years till it got into me, and she brought it into me that I had this trust and love from her. How important this was. Do these women understand it? I watch them in the streets. All they care about is going shopping, running out with the children, not wanting to be at home. They haven't been had a chance to live a bit of life without the parents standing on top of them. They get married and then they have a child and they're stuck at home. They get angry. Why can't we have an Erev? We want to get out. Getting out is not the advantage. You don't need to get out. You should be happy having children and bringing them up. But they're not ready. Not at 17, not at 18, not at 19, not at 20, not at 21, maybe at 21. And maybe without rocha from somebody behind, Rabbonim or somebody else, who would give them weekly and monthly or shirim to explain them what means living with a partner, both them, the girl and the boy. They don't need, I don't understand, they can get married at 17, I once discussed it with Arov, they can get married at 17, but I don't think that they're ready to have children till about 20, 21. And this is my true opinion, and it's very sad I've got to say this to the end of Tufshi and Ayin, where we're coming to the end of the year, where I see that the cruelty to one another, the loving of your partner, the loving of somebody else, is not there. In these family lives, there's not there. And I don't know how we are going to be misaken. Daily I find it more and more harder to live with these people. When I open my mouth sometimes and say things by a shiver or somewhere else, people say, you said such a good point. You know, it's a pity you, or they look at me as a nutcase, are able to give it over. If somebody with more respectable would give it over, then it would be more acceptable. But all I do is give over things which other people are not prepared to say. There's so much to talk about, and we will talk about it more at another time. But the point what we have to remember now that we're going to Yom Kippur, when you say I apologize, when you say to your friend, Ben Odom Lechaveiro is the most important thing, how you break your middas and behavior, that's the most important thing for the new year and for being a Yid, and that's